Okay guys, hello and welcome to the Thaumcraft 2 Mod Spotlight by MSA545. And if you do not know, Thaumcraft 2 is an amazing mod. I personally have done a series on the mod from the first version of it, and now that the second version's come out, I am extremely happy. I actually helped beta test this mod while it was in development, so there is a lot of cool things which I do know about, which others don't quite know about yet, but it is very, very cool, I must admit. And to start off, we're not going to look at all this fancy equipment we have here. We're just going to look at the core values of Thaumcraft. Now, Thaumcraft is split into two big things. It's aura and taint. And you may be wondering, what is aura and taint? Well, to understand what aura is, you need to understand what V's is. And V's is in a magical energy which is in everything. All blocks, all chunks, whatever, it's in everything. And pretty much everything you get is made from V's or taint. Now, taint is kind of like a bad version of V's or aura, and aura is more positive. And pretty much what taint can do, think of it as maybe things like carbon from the real Earth, where if you have too much taint in the area, it gets really bad, and bad things can pretty much happen to the environment, which is not good. But let's not talk about any of that bad stuff now. Let's focus on the positive things. Now, this mod is so big that I cannot easily cover it in one huge big review without you being bored. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show pretty much what I think are the coolest things in Thaumcraft for this review. And then you will be able to watch other things that I'll make in the future, which are like in-depth tutorials on like all the machines, all the environment stuff, all the weird other things which are in the mod, which are amazing. But let's start off with the cool things. So you've probably been seeing this being chucking around while I sort of talk to you about how Thaumcraft works for quite a while now. And you're probably wondering what it is. Well, this is probably one of the biggest things in Thaumcraft. It is a crucible, and there are 4 stages to the crucible, or 4 tiers if you want to call it that. And this is tier 1. And pretty much how a crucible works is you throw items in and you get their sort of V's value out of it. So if I chuck this cobblestone in, you'll see that I get this yellow liquid at the bottom. Did I say yellow? I meant purple. And what this purple liquid is pretty much liquefied V's. As simple as that. And the more rare an item is, the more V's you get out of it, as you may have guessed. So if I get these diamonds instead of the cobblestone and chuck them in, you'll see it starts filling up a lot faster. And that is probably going to overflow, because that's not good. And you'll see it overflow in just a second once it fills up. There we go, it's starting to overflow, and as you'll see, this smoke stuff starts coming off. That is the taint, which is getting pumped into the environment. Not good, but since this is just a tutorial, it should be fine, and it wasn't that much. Now these things at the side here, these are called bellows, and what these do are they pretty much make it more efficient. They increase the efficiency of how well it pumps the V's, how fast it generates it out of all the materials, and all those cool things like that. And also something that you'll probably learn in a couple of minutes time, they actually are better for getting more V's out of it than taint out of the item. But you'll learn more about that in due course. Now the next question is, how do you make one of these crucibles? Well, it's very simple. All you need to do is get a V's crystal, a cauldron, and a furnace, and you get a crucible. Very simple. Now the next couple of things are the next stages of the crucibles, and there are the other 3 here, including that one, which is the basic crucible. But then you have your upgrades. Now this one is the second tier, and it is the Crucible of Eyes. And what it does is it produces a redstone signal when it gets over 90%, which is very, very handy if you're trying to maybe make a machine telling you how much V's you have in your machine, or how much taint even, if you want to call it V's or taint, doesn't really matter. But it is very cool. And the next machine is quite similar. It's called a Thaumcraft Crucible, and it doesn't really do anything different, apart from the one very, very handy fact that when it is full, as you can see, there's diamonds in it, it does not overflow. That means no bad taint gets pumped into the atmosphere, and they sort of sit around there until they're needed. Once this goes down to a level which diamonds can put it in without overflowing, it will suck up the diamonds V's and put it into the crucible. Very, very simple. And it also produces a redstone signal when it goes over 90% full, which is very nice as well, as for reasons I've explained just there. And this last one is called the Crucible of Souls. And if you've not guessed already, there are eggs in here, villager eggs. Villager eggs are very, very pretty cool because you can spawn villagers and they die epically with this machine because it sucks the V's out of their soul. And it can be V's or taint, and it works just the same as all the other ones, except it's people. And the villager obviously tries to run away because he's getting harmed, but it's cool nonetheless. And as you can see, the V's get stored through here in the bottom. Yeah, you run away. Now, the next method of getting the Crucible of Eyes and the Thaumic Crucible is very simple, and what you need to do is infuse them together. Now, I will move on to infusing in a little while, just bear with me, but how you pretty much make them in the infuser is you put this up here, and you put that there, and that there, and it will start to infuse. So as you can see, infusing is a very simple process, but I will go through it in more detail in just a minute. As I say, Thaumcraft is such a big mod, you can't sort of start anywhere without having a lead on to the next thing. But to get that's the Crucible of Eyes we just got. So the next Crucible is the Thaumic Crucible, and what we do is we combine it with two Fathium ingots, which again I will show you how to make later on in the mod. And there we go, pretty much it's done now. So we have the Fathium Crucible, which is, as I told you, the one which does not overflow. And the next method is the Crucible of Souls, and how you get this is by using a dark infuser, which is similar to an infuser, except it's more taint than V's usage, which I'll get onto in a minute, as I said before. Although this dark infuser I will not be covering in this tutorial, and I will be covering them in future tutorials in my Thaumcraft 2 machine tutorial, which should be up a couple of days after this video if you're watching it on the first day. But what you need to do is put them in the perfect order which I am putting them in, which is the Crucible, the Bone, the Rotten Flesh, the Gas Tier, and the Soul Sand. And as you can see, it starts going up. And it does need to be just a regular crucible, I do warn you in advance, but that is the Crucible of Souls made. Now that you have all your V's lying around, you want to put it somewhere, right? Well, you can actually do that. You can use these things here called conduits, which are pretty much transport pipes for the V's, and then they can go into these things called V's storage system tanks, pretty much, yeah, tanks, that's what they're called, V's storage tanks. And there are pretty much very cool. They can hold quite a bit of V's. I can't remember the exact number, I will get that in a minute or time when I show you what is in that chest over there. And these are pretty much for transporting V's across long ranges, and it also uses to connect them to like machines which then you can use with V's, pretty much, very basic idea. And this square in the middle here is what we call a valve, and as any normal valve it pretty much restricts the flow of V's when it's on. So right now it's off, so it is restricting all flow of V's through here. You may be wondering why V's is already here. It's because it was already filled up, but when I turn it on, that will allow V's to flow freely through. Now as I say, because everything's completely filled, you don't really notice anything, but you will if it was empty. And with this crafting recipe you will get 8 V's conduits, very simple, 4 wood, 4 glass panes and a piece of redstone. And similar to the conduits, this is how you make the V's storage tank. And the V's valve is made by 2 conduits mixed with a lever. And another thing which you may have noticed is that this is a lot brighter. And how you pretty much know what that is that you want really pure V's. You don't want any tint, and pretty much the lighter it is, the more pure the V's is. Just by chance, I got two sort of alright ones. Those are sort of the average things you'd get, sort of 50-50. But this is very high in V's, and we'll see how high it is in just a minute once I see my next object. Although, before we go on to them, let's see what this is. Now, what it is an infuser, and it is probably one of the most basic machines that you can make in Thaumcraft. It pretty much is, think of it as a crafting table, but instead of crafting items, you infuse items together, i.e. like this. And as you can see, you have the same interface as you have up here at the front. And I just want to say before I start anything, this just looks amazing. It is like, it looks like an HD texture pack, except it isn't. It is in normal 64 by 64 texture pack. But as you can see, you have your different items here, and pretty much what you can do is infuse them together to make different things. This is the recipe for the infuser. It's very simple, just 4 iron, an aqueous crystal. I think it can be any, but that is the one I've seen on the forums. A stone slab and 3 stone. Very simple. And here are 3 examples of those things, and these are thaumic detectors. There's a V's detector, a taint detector, and a thermometer, like a thermometer, a thermometer. It's very weird. And there's also a 4th one, which I don't want to tell you what it is right now, but it is very cool, and it makes it a lot handier to use. Now, I will show you how to infuse these in a minute, but let's have a look at these first. Now, the first thing which you'll probably notice is that in the corner there are little sort of bars. That shows you how much V's and taint is in the area. As you may have guessed, the V's is the brighter one and the taint is the lower one. And luckily for me, in this area there seems to be a lot more V's than there is taint, which is good. You don't want to have bad taint in the area. And how you increase the taint is by letting it off into the atmosphere, as I've told you about before. Now let's have a look at how much taint is in these. Now what you need to do is, or did I say taint? I meant V's. Now what you simply need to do is right click on it, and it tells you how much. So there is 438 V's in here, but in these two there's only 250 each, which is not amazing. And if we look in here, so there's 250 taint in there, 250 taint in there, and only 62 taint in there, so as you can tell it is quite big. Also, if you're good at maths, which you don't really need to be to work this out, but pretty much this holds 500 units of taint, or V's, and normally this is a 50-50 split, and it is not the most efficient way of getting V's, and I will show you how to get more efficient ways of getting it in a minute or two. But as you can tell, there is a lot of different sort of varieties of outcomes you can get, because as you can see I've got very high V's here, but sort of 50-50 there. You can also get quite low amounts of V's sometimes if you're unlucky, but it's mostly 50-50. Now what this one here is pretty much a mix of both, which I'll also show you how to infuse in just a minute. But how you pretty much work this is that no different. You right click on it, but it gives you percentages pretty much. So it says it's at 100% capacity, and 88% is V's and 12% is taint, which is very good. If you look at the other ones, it's the same but 50-50, which is also it's not bad. It's pretty good. And let's infuse these together now. See how you make them. So let's do the V's detector first, because it seems like the most basic one. And how you simply make it is by placing a compass, a gold ingot, and one of these things called a V's crystal, which I will get onto in a minute, as I say before. And you start making or infusing them, and they slowly make, once this bar goes up, a V's diffuser. And now, as this is cooked, I might as well tell you some stuff. These slots here, the sort of the triangle around it, are input slots. Here is the output slot, and this is what we call a sort of a slot for depleted crystals, as we saw just there. And this is the sort of output slot. So we've got a V's detector, very nice. And before we move on to the next one, as you can see, it's already started to drain a little bit of Thaum out of our system. Now the next item is a taint detector, and it's made in a very similar way, except for the fact that it uses a tainted crystal instead of a V's crystal. And these are pretty much the same as V's crystals, except instead of full of V's, they're full of taint. As simple as that. And you may start noticing that this is getting slower and slower as it goes up. There are reasons for that. You can make it go up faster. The main reason is because the fact that it's not getting much V's into here, even though it's connected to the main V's thing. All this stuff left over is pure taint, which you do not like, and it's not good. And if I use my taint detector very handily, you'll see that there's taint in here rather than V's, which is not what you really want. But there are ways of getting rid of it which are not good. But let's see how you make both of these together now. So how you get them together are that you use the two things that you just made, and then you also use the 4 crystals which are remaining in the game, which I will get onto in a minute. They are the vaporous crystal, the fairy crystal, the earthen crystal, and the water, or the aqueous crystal. Sorry. And you have to, whoa, didn't mean to do that. Mistake there. If you do take or if you break the infusion recipe, you do waste your V's, by the way, just as that came up. But these crystals represent the 4 elements, I guess: fire, earth, water, and air, which is pretty cool. And we will see what they make in a minute. And I don't know why I said that, because you all know what it's going to make. It makes a thermometer, a thermometer, and our depleted crystals do go here. Now, earlier I did mention that using a crucible is not the most efficient way of getting V's, and it's not. A more efficient way would be to use one of these, a condenser. And how these work are you use the crystals, as I said. And these crystals can be found by mining, pretty much. There are ores which are spawning in the ground, which look very nice. They don't look like standard ore, they do look like a actual crystal, and hopefully I'll be able to show you one in one of my tutorials in the future. But for now, just accept that you can find these in the ground. And you can also get the depleted crystal, which isn't really a type of crystal, but it's more of just an empty one, which you can refill in the later mod, which I will show you in a minute's time. But if we head into the conduit, you'll see, or condenser I meant to say, you'll see that you have this symbol. And if you look in here, you have the moon. And the moon pretty much tells you how well it will work. Now, as I inputted it, you'll see that this goes bright purple. And also, if I look out here, it also has the crystal floating above it. This is similar to what it would look like as an ore. It looks quite similar to it. And pretty much what these do are they suck the V's out of it. Although they work better at certain times, so most of them work better at night. So if we switch it to night, as such, you'll see that it starts to produce V's quite fast, sort of. And the moon phase does affect how well it is. That is why the moon is there. Although, however, I do warn you people, for those who have not amazing computers such as myself, this does create quite a bit of noticeable lag if you do that. But a bit of a negative note there, but I do want to warn you guys. And the one thing which you will notice as well are these are considerably slower at producing V's, but they are in the end worth it, I would say. But I would say I'm not quite sure in complete figures, but one crystal does create quite a lot of V's. And this is the recipe for the condenser, and that's how you make it pretty much. Yeah. Now, if we go back a step, you will notice that there is a lot of Thaum in these, as I have said earlier, in the conduits. And there must be a way of getting rid of that, right? Well, there is, and you can use filters. And pretty much these put the Thaum, or the taint, sorry, in the air. And as I say, that is not good for many reasons, which I have told you before. If we get out our thermometer, you'll see that the taint levels are rising, but it isn't that noticeable for the first while. But when it gets quite high, you will start to notice a lot of differences in the environment. But as you can see, The tint or V's around the area in the pipes have seemed to have definitely increased, which is good. Now that I've shown you the basic sort of V's collecting and enchanting methods of the game, I may as well show you some of the questions which I constantly got asked when I did a mod review on the first version. And the first one is, how do you make the arcane tinkering tools? Well, in this mod it's very simple. It's a crafting recipe, and what you need is 2 thaumium ingots, a redstone, and some enchanted wood, and there you go, you get your arcane tinkering tools. Now, the next question is kind of obvious. How do you get the thaumium ingots and the enchanted wood? Well, that's where you need the infuser again. So pretty much how you make the thaumium ingots is that you combine the V's ore with a V's crystal and you get a thaumium ingot. Very simple. And to get the enchanted wood, same sort of idea, V's crystal and some wood. And this takes and I'm sort of losing a bit of V's, so it's taking a little bit slower to get it, but there we go. And you get 4 per stack, similar to sticks, which is very nice and very handy. And I'm not even going to bother showing you how to get redstone. If you don't know that, don't install this mod. The next question is, how do you get the nitor and adamantium to make the arcane singularity? Well, I might as well start from the very start with this one, because it's slightly different in this game how you get an arcane singularity. And pretty much how you do it is you infuse redstone and coal to get your, I think it's nitor, I believe you get that one for. Yes, nope, whoop, sorry. Adamantium is that one. So this one's nitor then, the glowstone and redstone dust. Once this is infused, there you go, yep, you get your nitor. Very simple. 2 very, very strong compounds. Now if you put them together, you get your arcane singularity. It's a lot easier to get, I find, this version of the mod. And then you can obviously stabilize this by infusing it with other things, but we don't need to go on to that right now. And as it's turning night now, I might as well throw this. So it looks really cool now, I find. If you throw it, it goes very far away, and then it causes a huge explosion. And it's sucking out of my awesome imaginary land that I've created. Next up is the enchanted fabric. Very, very simple and is quite handy. So you infuse string, wool and V's crystals together, and once it all infuses, it makes some enchanted fabric. Now that you've got your singularity and your enchanted fabric, if you combine them with an ender pearl, which is going to take forever because I am running out of V's completely, you get a portable hull, and it's a very, very cool device. What you can actually do with it is you can create portal holes, which is quite cool. So I could say go over here and I could do this. See the logic in it? It is pretty cool. Next up, we're going to be playing with seals and runes. Now, how you make runes are that you combine a crystal of the appropriate type, so aqueous is obviously water, and you combine it with a golden nugget and some nitor. It forms to make a water runic essence. Same goes if you use a vaporous crystal, which is obviously equivalent to air. You would get an air crystal, and so on. So i.e. V's crystal would be magic, fairy would be fire crystal. You get the point. Now these seals are super cool. Pretty much how they work are you combine them with the certain runes and they have certain things added to them. So say if I get a seal, place it on the ground and combine it with an air rune, then it has this ability to push items away. It's very, very cool. And it goes by in a 3x3 square radius, so it goes to here is where it would stop pushing, I believe, if I put one here. or theoretically it would go to there, which would work fine. It also works on people, however, so if I do this, okay, well he's directly in the middle of it, so it's not really working, but there, if I move him off to the edge a bit, he starts getting pushed, which is pretty cool. And there's a load of other things you can do with these. So say if I create a completely different one over here, and I put a fire rune on it, what does that do? Well, if I look at this, which is a crystal ball, which pretty much tells you what the sail does, it says here, it emits a short range cone of fire to add a nearby enemy with minor area of effects. So, whoa, perfect example there. It sort of fires a range of fire at it. Now, as I just showed you, and didn't do my research obviously, it didn't work with the villager, because they're not enemy mobs, they're friendly mobs. So we need to get some enemy mobs, like zombies. So if I place my zombie here, I'm not really too fussed about him, because he's dying. Now sure, he can sort of come after me a bit, but what if I do something like this? He can't come to me because he's getting blown away, and he sort of escaped, it's there, but he gets pushed away while being lit on fire. So they do work together, which is really, really handy. Now you can also combine more types of runes up to them. You can combine a total of 3 runes to a total of 1 sails, if that made sense, which it didn't probably. But pretty much what, for example, is if I do this and I do say an air and a magic, and I think I've done that wrong. Yes, I have. Whoops. If I go here, for example, then I put a magic and then an air, it does matter what order you put it in. And then I go over here and set up another magic and an air. I'll set it up here, let's just say magic and air, and walk close to it. There we go. It creates a portal which I can walk through, and as you can see, right through it into the where you're going, which is really nice. Now, as I showed you before with this one, not all sails work. So if I look here, the sail has no effect. I did break that sail, and I cannot get that back in any way at all unless I get one with a pickaxe, which you can learn through research, which I will talk to you about in a minute. But these sail things, I would be quite interested in using them because they are cool. Now let's get into the really, really cool stuff about this mod, and that is the machines. And there are loads of different machines here, and these are only some of them, but there are some really, really cool ones which I do want to show you in the future. Although this first one here is a duplicator, and what it does is, as you may have guessed, it duplicates items. So if I get my dirt, it starts duplicating it, and look how cool this looks. Does that not just look epic? And there are also 2 types of duplications you can do. You can do this, or the one you just saw, which is that sort of straight arrow, or you can use this one, which just duplicates the one item. Now, as you can tell, I have now pretty much got more than twice the amount of dirt I had, which was great, but you know, who wants dirt? So why don't you duplicate something more expensive? Well, you can do that, but as you can tell, it is horribly slow. It's actually painfully slow, but it does after a while work. So do you remember these depleted crystals I was telling you about? Well, you can actually refill them with one of these machines. Now if you put the depleted crystal into the white circle in the middle and wait for the meter to go down all the way to fill, or all the way to empty, sorry. I was waiting for it to sort of almost get there before I start talking so that you can see it happen, but it will go into one of these 6 spots as one of the crystals, and it is completely random in which one it goes to. Now let's see what it goes to. It is a vaporish crystal. Very nice, very nice. And this will just randomly generate what crystal it goes into, and it's a very nice way, although I do warn you, it does cost Thaum. That is why I have this thing at the back here. All these machines do cost Thaum, and by Thaum I mean V's, old game I'm talking about. So I've been out mining with my favourite shovel, and it's got a bit of damage on it. And is there any way to refill this or repair it? Yes, there is, with a repair machine. And as you may have guessed, it simply repairs your tools. Very nice, very simple. That's all there really is to it. There's barely any Thaum required, except obviously if it's a diamond tool, it'd be a lot more. Or even maybe a Thaumium tool, which we will get onto in one of the tutorials. Maybe not in this particular review, because I do want to keep it simple, but very, very cool system. And the last one here is a furnace, and it's a Thaumic furnace, which is very, very cool. And it works just the same as a normal furnace, except it has more slots pretty much. So I could put things there, I could put things there, and it uses V's and coal to make the item, which is very, very nice. And it inputs it into one of these slots here. Nothing really new there. You probably would have seen those through other mods, but it is a nice addition to this mod, I find. And this is the crafting recipe for the Thaumic repairer. And this is the recipe for the Thaumic duplicator. Unfortunately, I do not have the recipe for the Thaumic crystallizer or the arcane furnace, so you will have to find those out yourself. And I also do not have the recipe for this machine here, which we will move on to now. Now the next system is pretty much the enchanting table from the normal Minecraft game, but instead this is a Thaumic enchanter. It's a very similar device, but yet it's still very, very different and very, very cool. And pretty much how it works is instead of using bookcases, it uses Thaum, and yes, these are brains in jars. You can get these brains from special zombies which will spawn in the game, and they pretty much just drop a brain, and then you put the brain in a jar. Simple as that. But pretty much how this works is instead of getting readings, you get Thaum readings pretty much. Simple as that. And instead of getting your enchantment instantly, it does take a while, but you may notice I'm getting extremely high levels here, in the thousands sometimes. I do warn you, this is not like normal enchanting where it's per XP levels and things like that. The levels have changed completely. This is actually how much V's you will be using per your enchantment. So I will choose a 491 since I do only have the standard V's thing here. But as you see, it starts enchanting, so it's a cool sort of enchanting thing going around the corner here, and it slowly starts to make it in the enchantment. And after a while, you will get your enchantment. Obviously, I don't even think I have enough of these in this simple cube to hold it, because 50% of it would be taint, but it is still a pretty effective system. And I may not, as I say, get it, and I'm probably not, but there are no new enchantments or anything, so I'm not actually going to show you it, because you're not really going to be missing out on anything, I don't think. And now the final machine, or this isn't really a machine, more of a table that in the game, is a research table, which is quite annoying in some ways. In other ways it's quite cool. And pretty much what this does is it makes you have to research like things before you can actually build them in the game. Even if you spawn them in, most of the time they won't work until you've researched them, and it pretty much puts them in like a lock, and you can't, even if you know how to enchant them or infuse them or craft them, most of the time you cannot actually do it until you research them. This is the research table, or should I call it Quasium, I guess. That is the official name of it, I think. Yeah, the Quasitum or something. But we will continue on learning how to research now. So I will show you the interface for it right now. It's a pretty cool interface, and pretty much how it works is you input your paper into here, and then you put items into here. And as you'll see, you have different rates. You have a success rate and you have a loss rate. And since I put 3 diamond blocks in here, I've got quite a high success rate. But as you saw, as I got one of these things, the success rate went down. And as you saw there, I failed and I lost everything. which is quite unfortunate. But if I go up here again, I've got another success rate of 72, which is very nice. And I got another one of these, and I have no longer got any more of them. But if I do it again, you'll see I've got another success rate of 72, which is very nice. And that is the first tier of the research thing in Thaumcraft 2. You may notice I'm not as confident with talking about this because I myself don't even really understand it that well. But there are 3 different tiers. There is the first tier, which is achieving the knowledge fragments, which are these things here. And this is a fragment of lost knowledge, and most of these lost knowledge things come from vanilla Minecraft items. So as you see here, I have items like block of item, or a block of diamond. But although if I use other items, which you can get in things like dungeon stuff, like any of the items you see here, which you can find in dungeons, it makes it have other things. Like, for example, one of them would be a fragment of elder rich knowledge. So let's try out some of these. So instead of the diamond blocks there, we will put in one of these, one of these, and one of these. Now pretty much this top one here is the thing you're researching, and these are just additions to it which will help. So let's see. Oh no, we lost 2 things. Let's try and mix and match a bit. So if you get 2 diamond blocks, which are quite high success rates, and we'll put this in again, why not? We have a 56% success rate, which is, it's not really that high to be honest, it's 50%. And as you saw, we just failed there, and it went down to 44%. And let's see, oh yeah, we did get something. We got a fragment of forbidden knowledge, which is not really much different to this, just apart from the fact that it's a different type of knowledge. Now, you can't really do anything with these. I'm right clicking on them right now and nothing's opening, nothing's doing anything, which means you need a second phase. Now, these things are theories, and this is where things get quite annoying, because as you saw how hard it was for me to get those, and to make sure I get quite a high success rate, I am going to spawn in some diamond blocks again, a couple of them. I'll just spawn 64 just for the sake of it, and we put, say, can we split these? I'm not entirely sure. As I say, yes you can. You can. Oh no, can you? Yeah, you can. Sorry, you can put full things of 64 or 36 in there. And if I do this, I only have a 37% success rate, a loss of 80%, quite high. Nope. But as you can see, I'm not actually really losing them, which is quite nice. And let's see. I'm just going to keep doing this until... Oh, I've lost one. I'm going to keep doing this until I get one. If I don't get any, I'll just spawn them in. Oh, no. We did get one. We got a theory. And a Thaumic enchanter theory. So, if we look here, nothing really happens. I can't do much. Why is nothing happening? Oh, we got another one. A Thaumic generator. Another one. Charm of life. Tricky. Oh, well, I'm getting loads of these. I wasn't expecting to get any, really. A pickaxe of the core, and we'll stop there. Okay, to be honest, I wasn't really expecting any of those to be caught, or to be achieved, but I got 4. And as we're interrupted here by a wisp. Very cool things. These are pretty much Thaum things which are added to the game themselves. I might as well take a break from research here because these are quite rare. But they're very nice creatures, and if you kill them, they do drop these crystals, which is something to let you guys know. But this guy doesn't seem to be doing much harm to me, so I will leave him as he is. Now, back to research. Fun. So, if we get put our diamond blocks back, as I say, this is sort of a tutorial example. You would get none of these in real life, pretty much, because diamond blocks not easy to come by. But let's try and learn. I'll do an easy one to start off with. What ones are they? Well, I'll do a Thaumic generator. Why not? Now I've got a 96% success rate here, which is pretty good. I'm not succeeding though, which is annoying. I've also got 100% loss rate, which doesn't sound good actually at all. So we will. Why am I getting so high loss rate? I don't really know. we'll try one more time. Hopefully this will work. No. Okay, so if this bar gets to 4, I lose it. The theory. Okay, so it's got to 4. No. Okay, sorry. I think I lose it now. Oh no! Okay, whoa, step back. I thought I was doing something wrong. Okay, so apparently if that bar gets to 4, or to fit, like it gets past 4, you learn it, which is good then. Okay, sorry, I thought I was doing something wrong there. As I say, I don't really know loads about research, as I am pretty much reading it off the thing right now. But right now we have just passed stage 3, which is we're pretty much finished this phases. So that was phase 3 we just passed. I probably should make that clear. So we have discovered the Thaumcraft generator, and this is how you craft it. It's a device which converts V's energy into pure usable energy for many devices such as Industrial Craft EU, Red Power, Bluetricity, and Buildcraft MJ, which so pretty much it's compatible with those mods, and it's a very nice interface actually, and that's how you make it. So that is pretty much all I want to show you for this part of the mod. Though be aware, I am going to be doing a lot more other things, such as tutorials on all the individual machines, which will be a lot longer. Sorry that this one's quite long actually. I was hoping to get this a lot shorter, but it is very, very cool how it all turns out and works out, and I would highly recommend you go to the creator of the mods channel, Anazor, and pretty much give him love or something, because he is... I don't even know how he makes this, and I hit my headphone. Okay, well, anyways, I would rate this mod maybe, I would say, a 4 out of 5 stars, because it is just amazing. There are some small bugs and things in it which puts it on the extra star, and obviously the research thing, it's cool, but as I say, it's very annoying at some stages, so that is mainly the reason why it lost that 1 star. But overall, I would say the mod is amazing. This is only a small amount of stuff for the mod, and I'll see how long it took me to discuss through it all, mainly because I'm bad at discussing things, but as you see, it is an amazing mod. Go download it now, link will be in the description, and until then, see ya.